film kicks off in New York, where a seasoned thief named Keith Ripley approaches a public pool crowded with people and shoots one of the swimmers. We're then introduced to another thief, Gabriel Martin, whom Ripley notices walking nearby. Ripley follows him discreetly. On a subway train, Martin pulls a gun and steals a briefcase filled with cash from two men. Aside from money, Martin is also involved in stealing gems. A pair of officers spot his weapon and begin chasing him. Martin climbs onto the top of the moving train, crawling across the roof to escape. Once the train stops, he slips away into the bustling crowd. Ripley sees him but acts indifferent, pretending he saw nothing. Authorities check the station's surveillance footage but fail to identify the culprit. That night, Martin attempts to offload some of the stolen jewelry, but Ripley appears from behind and catches him. Martin doesn't resist much, realizing the gun Ripley holds is empty. Ripley grabs the gems and tells Martin they need to talk. Suddenly, two Russian mobsters show up in a car and confront Ripley about his outstanding debt to their boss. After they leave, Ripley tells Martin he has a proposal and asks to meet at a bar to discuss further. Ripley owes a significant amount to the Russian mob and needs Martin's help for one final heist to clear his dues. He had watched Martin during the subway incident and was impressed by his agility and quick thinking. Ripley's previous partner, Viktor Korolenko, was killed before they could complete their mission. The new plan involves stealing two Fabergé eggs worth $20 million each. Allegedly, Ripley eliminated Viktor to prevent him from snitching to the NYPD, which would have landed Ripley in prison. The following day, while Ripley is off handling some matters, Martin stops to read a newspaper and meets a woman named Alexandra. They chat for a while. Ripley returns shortly and is surprised to see Martin with Alexandra, who turns out to be Victor's daughter. Ripley is clearly unhappy about their interaction. He later explains the new job to Martin, which involves robbing a Russian museum, controlled by the Romanov family, who are tied to the Russian Mafia. The gang sneaks valuable Russian artifacts into the States and pays off the police with donations and gifts. As they walk, Ripley admits the job isn't just about money. He feels he was born to be a thief and wants to die doing what he does best. He hands Martin a rare coin, symbolizing their new partnership. The next day, Martin brings Alexandra flowers at her workplace. Afterward, he suggests they hang out at a Russian club, but she's hesitant. He insists he'll wait and leaves. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Weber and rookie cop Michaels are investigating the recent theft. After finding out the stolen jewels belong to Russian criminals, Weber suspects Ripley and Martin. Weber has been pursuing Ripley for over 2 decades, hoping to catch him in the act, but never had enough evidence. Before Ripley allegedly shot him, Victor was supposed to be Ripley's best man. That night, Martin waits at the club until Alexandra arrives. They dance, talk, and she starts to believe that her father was killed by the Russian mob because they wanted Ripley to repay Victor's debts. In truth, Victor owed money to the mob boss, Nicky Petrovich. Nicky offered to erase the debt if Victor helped steal the eggs. Wanting to protect his daughter, Victor refused and turned to the NYPD for protection. Despite that, the mob found and killed him. Later that night, Alexandra can't find her house keys and realizes Martin's already inside. They end up spending the night together. In the morning, Martin wakes up to see Ripley standing before him. Ripley tells him to keep his distance from Alexandra and to get dressed. There's a fancy event at the Romanov Museum that evening. Martin attaches a camera disguised as a button to Zhikov's suit. Zhikov is a tour guide there. That evening, they disguise themselves as officers and sneak into the museum's party to gather intel on the vault holding the eggs. Weber confronts Ripley, aware that he isn't on the guest list, but lacks proof and backs off. As Zhikov gives a tour, the button cam transmits footage to Ripley and Martin, revealing the vault's complex security. They find out the eggs are in a secondary, heavily guarded safe. Martin is discouraged and says the job can't be done. He then accidentally spills a drink on Zhikov and lifts something from him. The two leave the party, and outside, officers snap photos of them. Weber warns his higher-ups of a likely robbery, but they dismiss his concerns, citing other priorities. Ripley and Martin begin working on the break-in. At a gym, Martin lifts Zhikov's handprint. They also manage to record Sergeyev's voice, another vital element for cracking the vault. One day, Martin surprises Alexandra with lunch, but she says she doesn't like Chinese food. Despite that, they enjoy their time. She expresses concern that he might end up like Victor due to his criminal path. Ripley explains the mob forced their hand, either steal the eggs or be killed. When Nicky grows impatient, he kidnaps Alexandra and demands Ripley deliver the Fabergé eggs in exchange for her life. Nicky insists the eggs are family heirlooms, stolen from the Kremlin and rightfully his. With Alexandra now involved, Martin commits fully to the heist. The robbery begins at night, with the duo tunneling into the museum from underground. A guard hears noise, but others dismiss it. The intruders trigger an alarm, which they quickly disable. Martin also loops the CCTV feed with pre-recorded footage. They trick the guard at gunpoint into downplaying the alert. After tying him up, they proceed, while others are distracted with snacks. Using the stolen fingerprint and a voice recording, Martin and Ripley unlock the vault. Martin crawls beneath a laser grid using a dolly and disables another alarm. As they crack the second safe, Weber hears about the alarm and instantly knows Ripley is behind it. Inside the vault, Martin locates the eggs and suddenly turns on Ripley, pulling a gun on him. He reveals he's actually an undercover Miami cop, planted by Weber to catch Ripley and locks him inside. Police swarm the museum. Martin grabs a hostage and forces his way out. It's revealed that Ripley struck a deal with the Romanovs and emptied the museum vault before police arrived, taking all valuables, including the eggs. With no evidence left and Martin's undercover role hidden from official records, Weber can't do anything. Plus, Martin's romance with Alexandra weakens his position. Alexandra, now acting as Ripley's lawyer, represents him at his bail hearing. Later, Ripley calls Martin from an airport ready to leave with Victor to sell the eggs. During their call, Ripley reveals they always knew Martin was a cop. Martin eventually returns to New York to visit Alexandra. She assures him her feelings are real. In the end, Martin decides to leave law enforcement behind and become a true thief. The end. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe for more videos like this. Don't forget to turn on notifications and drop a like to support the channel.